On July 10th, 2026, two brothers were 2 hours apart. One was sitting on a private lawn in Gloucestershire, watching his father hold his grandchildren for the first time in 4 years. The other was on a polo field in Windsor, in front of cameras, smiling for a crowd that had no idea what was happening less than 100 miles away. They didn't speak. They didn't see each other. But insiders say one word is now circulating inside royal circles to describe what Prince William felt when he found out. Stay with me, because what happens next, the silence, the timing, the location Charles chose, might tell us more about the future of this family than anything either brother has said in public. To understand why one meeting could cause this much damage, you have to go back to September 2022, Queen Elizabeth's funeral. That was the last time Prince William and Prince Harry stood in the same room together. Since then, a memoir called Spare that accused senior royals of leaking stories to the press, a Netflix docuseries, and years of frozen silence between two men who used to be inseparable. Then came the children. Prince Archie, now 7. Princess Lilibet, now 5. King Charles hadn't seen them since 2022, and according to royal sources, seeing his grandchildren mattered more to him than almost anything else, especially now, while he's still undergoing cancer treatment. So when Meghan Markle quietly flew back into Britain with the kids for the first time in years, the question wasn't if Charles would see them. It was how far he'd go to make it happen, and who he'd be willing to upset to do it. Harry's UK trip had been building for weeks. On July 7th, he showed up at Chatham House in London for an Invictus Games event, then Birmingham, for the one-year countdown to the 2027 Invictus Games. On paper, it looked like business, charity work, veterans, the causes Harry's built his post-royal identity around. But underneath it, tension was already boiling. Just days earlier, Harry had lost his High Court privacy case against Associated Newspapers, a legal defeat that reportedly left both him and Meghan scrambling and frustrated. He'd also, according to reports, been turned away from Buckingham Palace during the visit. So by the time Harry made his way to Highgrove, he wasn't arriving as a triumphant son coming home. He was arriving bruised, and about to walk into the one meeting that would blow the whole story wide open. Here's where it gets interesting. On the same day, July 10th, two completely different royal events were happening less than 2 hours apart. At Highgrove, King Charles's private Gloucestershire estate, the King and Queen Camilla welcomed Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet for what Buckingham Palace called a private family occasion. No photos, no official statement beyond a brief confirmation. Just a quiet afternoon, the first time Charles had held his grandchildren in 4 years. Meanwhile, at Guards Polo Club in Windsor, Prince William was riding in the DMI Royal Charity Polo Cup. Kate stood beside him, cameras rolling, both of them putting on what one outlet called a united front. Fully public, fully visible, and fully, deliberately, somewhere else. William didn't just skip the reunion. He was somewhere the cameras could see him not being there, and that's when the word started spreading through royal media circles. One word insiders say sums up exactly how William felt watching his father embrace the brother he hasn't spoken to in 4 years. Royal commentator Mark Dolan, speaking on Sky News Australia, put it plainly, it's my understanding that William is furious about this. His reasoning? He called the reunion a reward for what he described as the treachery, disloyalty, and cruelty of Harry and Meghan. Royal commentator Kinsey Schofield went further, framing it as a generational divide in priorities. She argued that King Charles can afford to think about legacy, but Prince William has to think about longevity, protecting the institution he'll one day inherit. For William, she said, the question was never whether Harry is family. It's whether he can be trusted, and one visit to Highgrove wasn't going to settle that. Another insider close to the family, Neil Fordwich, put it even more bluntly, Prince William remains adamant Harry isn't to be trusted. But here's what makes this so much bigger than a single word. It's not really about Harry showing up at Highgrove. It's about what William's absence and his fury says about whether this family will ever be whole again. Within hours of the Highgrove news breaking, royal watchers online split into two camps. One side called it a beautiful, overdue moment, a grandfather, possibly running out of time, finally holding his grandchildren again. The other side saw it as Meghan and Harry winning, using the children as leverage to get back onto royal property after years of public conflict with the family. Talk TV host Mark Dolan didn't hold back his red on the optics. framing it starkly as a win for the Sussexes and a symbolic return to royal ground for Meghan. And headline after headline picked up the same angle. William's silence, and his choice to be photographed elsewhere, was being read as a statement all on its own. One piece called it Prince William's absence speaks volumes. Roy Nicker, royal editor of the Sunday Times, dropped the detail that changes everything. Harry and William have not seen each other or spoken since Queen Elizabeth II's funeral in 2022. 4 years. Not one phone call worth reporting. Not one meeting. And royal broadcaster Ian Pelham Turner said the real obstacle standing in Harry's way isn't Charles anymore, it's starting peace talks with William and Kate, something that may not even be possible right now. Because, as he put it, William has been demonstrably against Harry since Spare was published. Here's the twist. Charles reportedly didn't just allow this meeting to happen quietly. According to reporting, he chose to sidestep official royal protocol entirely to make it happen on his own terms, privately, on his own property, without needing William's blessing or involvement at all. This wasn't a family stumbling into an awkward moment. This was a king making a calculated choice, knowing exactly how his eldest son would react. And that raises the real question everyone's now asking.